Thank you, dear Jesus, for allowing us to have this afternoon together. We're about to talk about a touchy subject, which is insecurities. And we know these are not things you've designed that we should have, but things that through our inheritance of a sinful nature, we've been found to have them. And even as the ages go by, they become more pronounced in our lives, mighty Father. However, you have a plan for our lives, and that is one thing we shouldn't forget. So I'm praying that even as we go through this meeting, we invite you to be part of it, mighty Father. Please find peace and presence in this place. Find a safe space to, fellowship with us, and guide us in our discussions that we may find, knowledge that comes straight from my storehouse. This is my prayer, and believing in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
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 Okay. Great.
Amen.
So
Amen.
now, yeah, sure. Okay. So I'll begin with, of course, myself, and then we'll dive into the discussion of the day. So, as you noticed today, it will be a very open discussion. Everyone is a presenter today, so you're invited to air your opinions. And also, we'd like to base. At the end of the day, we'd like also to find solutions to whatever issues we come up with. So, and I prefer having those solutions Bible-based. So, I'm one of those people who advocate for sola scriptura, I mean the Bible and the Bible alone, because I believe it's a library that contains answers to all our problems. Okay, so my name is Lumumba, Arvin Lumumba, and my week has been messed up. I got tested for corona the other day on Thursday. Yeah, on Thursday. Case in point being I was contact traced.
Yeah.
I was contact traced. So someone at the office was diagnosed with the virus. And so, unknowingly, I'd been going to the office. So, of course, then that means everyone who was in the office at any point in time during the past 2 weeks had to be tested. So, yeah, that's what happened. I'm still waiting for my results. But
Bro,
I'm not afraid. Pardon?
Did you wash your hands though?
That's a common practice. No, it's all good. It's all good. So, yeah, actually, I realized, contrary to popular opinion, it's not as painful or uncomfortable. It's just ticklish, actually, when that stick is inserted into your nostrils, and then they do some sort of scrubbing around, and then take whatever they want, and then go with it. So I'm chilling for the lab results. That's been my week in a nutshell. It hasn't been the best of weeks, but see God. Yeah, an insecurity people think I have is, of course, my height. I've grown up being the shortest guy in all my classes. So it's only in university where I got someone who was shorter than me. I'm talking about dudes, because I've been in boys' schools like since primary. So in university, I got into a class where, of course, some girls were there, and I happened to be taller. Yeah, that was a good feeling, but it's no longer something I'm bothered about. Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah, totally. Now I'd like us to go into the topic of the day, insecurities. And I'd like to just hear, number one, what you guys think is the definition of insecurities. I know you guys have been mentioning what you as are perceived to be, but I'd like to have a feeling or an understanding of what you guys define insecurities to be. So if you have something to say, you can either raise your hand on the Zoom platform or type in the chat. I'll be happy to read it. So I can see 2 people have already raised their hands. I can see Alice, and I know Alice, you have an assignment for us to do. So I think I'll let you go first, Alice.
Okay, hi guys.
Hi.
Okay.
Hi, Alice.
Hi. So I think from my understanding of what I read about insecurity and what I think it is to me is something that we are not confident about. It can be a physical feature. It can be a trait. It's just something we are not confident about. Yeah.
Okay. I also saw another hand. Zavon, you raised your hand. Zavon, are you there?
Hello.
Yep.
So,
I see your hand is raised.
Yeah, according to me, I think insecurities, it is that we perceive and what we think other people will see us, it is not necessarily us who are feeling that way, but it is something that different people feel about us. I think that is the most thing, the thing that brings the insecurity. And when people perceive you in that state, it tends to make you not confident. So I agree with the lady, I don't know her name. Yeah, I agree
Alice is
with
her
her.
name.
Yeah, I agree with Alice. It brings some inconfidence in us.
Okay. So so insecurities generally bring insecurities into you as a person. Okay. I follow. Alice, do you want to introduce whatever you wanted to introduce at this time or sometime later?
I would like people to first talk, and
Okay.
then I'll give like concluding.
Okay, no problem. No, I'm talking about the anonymous thing, but okay.
Oh, sorry. Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. Okay, so I'm about to send a link to the group.
Or even the chat over here.
Actually in this chat about questions, where you can write your questions, and then we'll be able to answer throughout as the conversation continues. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
Nice, nice.
Just to be sure, that link is going to be one of those anonymous things, so we won't know who's asking anything. So be as vulnerable as possible if you want to be. We like it bare bones anyway. Yeah. So okay, I'll read one. I found a very striking definition of insecurity, and I'd like to just read it out to you guys. So give me a second. I don't know where through that. Insecurities. Anyway, it was largely what you guys have mentioned. It was I'll paraphrase because I can't find my notes at this time. Anyway, I'll paraphrase. Insecurities are a severe lack of confidence in oneself because of how society, defines issues. Yeah. So you tend to feel as though maybe you don't match up to what society thinks you should be doing, or you should be looking like, or you should be thinking, speaking, those kind of things. So and of course that's essentially, it leads to that decline in confidence, as Zavon and Alice said. And I can see also Chama has mentioned uncertainty about oneself in a certain aspect. Yeah, that's true as well. Now I'd like to know, what things do you think young people, of course we've mentioned what we feel, but I also want to just know, what things do you think young people normally struggle with majorly about insecurities that they probably own? Yeah. And share your experiences, maybe whether it's from your friends or anonymous, we don't mind. But what do you think are some of the insecurities that young people actually struggle with? And if you've seen any effects to that, we'd be happy to also learn from that. So again, raise your hands if you have something to say. I can see Christine's already going. Christine, please go.
I think one thing that most young people are very insecure about is especially the ladies, it's acne. And why I'm
Yeah.
saying this is because, like, if you go on social media, sometimes you never know who's used filters and who's not, or who's edited and who's not. Sometimes you just never know. So you in your head, you're thinking, people have, what are they called? Glass clear skin. People have what? Everyone has a
What's
skincare
that?
routine. People are talking about the way, people call it glass clear skin. The kind of
Yeah,
skin
okay.
that, like, if you look at it and it's sunny, it burns your eyes. Have you ever seen people who have like nice skin like that?
Wow, that's legit. That's legit.
Like inakuchoma macho. So yeah, I think that's why many ladies actually struggle with, because in their heads they think that these people have that skin, but you see, it's not even everyone who's like that. Sometimes people are using filters, sometimes people are editing, and you might just be so hard on yourself, not knowing what people are doing. Yeah, or maybe they are using like very many products, very many, like, you can't know. So yeah, I don't think it should be like, I mean, it's okay to be bothered kidogo, but I don't think you should compare yourself with all these things that you're seeing on social media.
True, nice. And I like the perspective you've brought in, both social media and also the fact that you took the feminine side of it. I'd like also to know what men are going through or what men have seen other men go through in terms of insecurities. So, young men, please, I'd like to hear one or two of you about insecurities that young people, especially men, are facing. Brothers, don't be lied to about those toxic masculinity things. Here, you can just speak. We are. It's a safe space.
Auoni
Yeah.
tunafikiria.
Oh, Zavon,
Me-
thank you. Zavon, please go. As others think.
Okay. All right. So I love the perspective, the feminine perspective.
Mhm.
Also, men, we have different. Okay, mostly men we are troubled because we can't say it and we can't speak it out.
Yeah.
And most of the insecurities about men is the outlook. How will you appear before people, and how will people take you the way you are appearing? Like, for me, like me having long hair, I'll which I don't like. Some people think it is good, but for me, it is hectic. Getting out of the house, having that long hair, I'm very uncomfortable. Uh, you know, I think the problem with men is the outlook, majorly your outfits, how you look, the masculine thing. You don't have ndevu, like I've seen somebody have said.
Your topic,
Yeah,
by the way.
yeah. So and one thing, I think that is the biggest problem with men. It makes someone's confidence just break down. You won't be that very confident to go out and yeah. And in social media, there are very many fake things. So
Mhm.
I will agree with our sister.
Mhm.
Let us just be natural. Let us just who we are. Let us accept that first before people just judge us. When you accept yourself first, it will give you that confidence to even change what you think it is not right. I think that is the thing I can say.
Thank you so much. So I've picked insecurities in terms of outlook and also, of course, Beard's growth, and then social media being an aspect. I've seen Blessing went up first, so Blessing, and then I think Magoma, Chama, and then Alan. Blessing, please.
Okay, so I was discussing this with my brother, and he said,
Mm-hmm. How's Kim, by the way?
it's fine. He can say hi.
Yeah.
Oh, hi.
Hi, Kim, niaje.
Poa.
Uko na insecurity?
Huh?
Uko na insecurity, tuambie.
See, none that I can think of.
Sawa. Toxic masculinity pale, but it's okay. All right, Blessing, please go.
Give me an idea. I know some guys who are insecure about their communicating skills,
Mm-hmm.
and they feel like it will hinder them when it comes to getting the girls. You get?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So
Wait. Okay, so you're
yeah,
saying
most
men are insecure about their vibe skills, yeah?
Yeah. No. Yeah. That's what I was. Their vibe.
Hey, men arise. Me says was idea if I don't know what to say. But yeah, that is a concern that has been raised. So for this mini session, I want us, okay, you can blast each gender, but the objective is to ensure we're able to rise up, okay? I mean, to step up, because honestly, if someone points out something about the other gender, it's not about being attacked, it's about pointing out a flaw that they've noticed, and you can either learn from it or whatever, I don't know, die. One of those things. Yeah. But on that note, Magoma, thank you, Blessing, for pointing that out. Magoma, please go.
I feel for us men.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think I'm going to add on top of what Blessing has said on communication. It's not easy for men to just open up. You get, like, we're insecure about just opening up. we'd rather like swallow our pain and sleep it off. You get? So yeah, and what else? Sana nimesahau kulikuwa kitu kingine nilikuwa nataka kusema about men. Nikikumbuka nitasema, but yeah, opening up.
Okay. Thank you so much. Alan, I saw your hand had gone up at some point, but now it's not. I'll assume you've retracted your statement.
Retract. I just wanted to add on something.
Okay.
Yeah, so this thing, someone was saying about the beard and stuff. Yani, I saw a lot of posts on social media that there are a lot of girls who were like, mimi mwanaume hana ndevu, mi hawezi niambia kitu. You see, and those are the kind of things that even in guys, yeah, true. It's something that people have experienced, and it's something that have driven insecurities. And until you come to realize that anyway, the real things behind the scenes, like Blessing has said, the vibe skills and stuff, that you need this to get the girls, they are not even actually the things that even there are some of the core fundamental things that needs to happen for you for you to do a certain thing. And yeah, I just wanted to add that.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. I can see Alice.
I just wanted to add something that I've also just realized, that also sometimes an insecurity is something you're aware is different about you, and then someone else confirms is like, they confirm it like it's weird for you to have. Like for me, I have been very insecure about my own intelligence. When I was younger, okay, I don't know if it's still there right now, but okay, it's there. I used to have photographic memory. Like I could remember specific details for a long period of time. And then when I tell someone, they say, "Hey, what's wrong with you?" I used to be very aware of it, and I stopped talking about it. So it's also something that you're aware of it, but aware that is different from others, and people confirm that it's weird to you.
So maybe things you're afraid of, and then someone actually just points them out. Yeah. All right, Chama, you've been.
Ask a question. Can I ask a question on that?
Sure thing. As Chama prepares to tell us, okay?
But like, isn't having a photographic memory a good thing?
Yeah, she said she had a photographic memory when she was growing up, but then apparently
Can that be an insecurity?
People were pointing it out as though it's a bad thing.
But I thought an insecurity is like a bad thing. It can also be a good thing.
No, actually, you see, okay, being a geek, I don't think it's a bad thing, but people portray it as though it's a bad thing. So what society thinks is what makes one insecure, and I think that's where the problem lies. Yeah. All right, Chama.
I have two things to say. So first, I wanted to add on what Christine had said earlier about social media. Yeah, insecurity and social media. I think you guys have heard this a lot about if you follow these Instagram models or socialites. I think it's fair to say that you're then putting yourself in that situation for being insecure. Because it's normal to compare yourself in the end of the day. So me, what I'd do is that I wouldn't follow such people. I'd only follow like my friends or people that are in your league.
But even your friends, there are some of them who have clear skin and you don't.
Christine, we need to review your friends list.
Okay,
yeah,
that's true.
They
that's
have very
true.
clear skin. Paka, you're like, kwani, what do you use?
Yeah.
That's true. Anyway, The second thing is I know girls who are insecure about their laughs. It's like this meme for msichana mrembo lakini mcheko ka Denver.
Their laugh.
So actually, on that note, I'll hold that thought. Zavon, I think you raised your hand.
Yeah, sure. I raised my hand because Alice's case has just imenishtua kiasi. I have a question about it. Is it necessary for us to take other people's insecurity, other people's concern about what they feel it's not good, lazima tuzichukulie serious, like your intellectual state ya Alice, I don't think it is a bad thing, but when people unajua kuna wale wase like they are not in that level, we are different intellectual capacities and capabilities. So is it necessary for us to accept whatever people they say? Kama intellectual state yako iko perfect, ni must tuifuate.
Let me say something.
Okay.
It's not that I wanted to follow. I was very young. I was 6 years old, and that was unheard of. It's something that was unheard of. So the fact that it happened that I could actually say something about it was weird for others.
Yeah. Okay. Both of you are jumping the gun actually, because that is part of the future we want to get to. So just hold on. I can see you're very brilliant students. You are thinking ahead of the teachers. So Alan, and then Nicole. Alan.
Yeah, Zavon, what you've said about bashing, like taking it from perspective. Speaking from a perspective of someone who has that kind of a memory, like these guys usually don't know that you're saying it just because, from a perspective of me tu nakumbuka, it's just my thing. I'm doing it. This guy will take it as labda an attack. Maybe let's say Zavon, I can remember the first day we met, nini. But you'll be like, that was not, nilifanya hivi, like, niliongea hivi, and you didn't want to really portray that perspective. So that's why probably they put people like us down for doing that, and because they want to cover up or something and stuff. So yeah, what you're saying is something that is actually happening, and it's not that these guys they want to defend themselves. Maybe it's from a point of defense. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, true. Okay. Nicole.
I just wanted to emphasize on the point of insecurities and the standards of society. I think they go hand in hand quite a bit, especially with the features on our body that really can't control. Yeah. Let me give an example of our hair. African, our type of curl pattern and everything. Over the years, it's either your hair is plaited or you've palmed it. Because if it's in its natural state, it is untidy, it is unkempt, it is not professional. But now we're slowly starting to see, no, it's not slowly, it's coming at a big, at a big rate. Now people being advocates for natural hair. Yeah. But for a long time, even me, I must say, I was very insecure about my hair because it didn't look European. It didn't have that loose curl pattern. It wasn't soft. My hair is, it's thick and it's dense, So I think same thing goes with the one for clear skin, because I know clear skin has been put as the definition of like beauty, right? And people will follow that.
Sure.
Yeah, but the same way, I think it can change. It can change if we want it to change, because the same way my hair at some certain point was viewed as unkempt and everything, still is by some people, is the same way we can start appreciating skin that is prone to acne. Yeah, you get what I'm saying? So standards of society, the same way back in 2005, being skinny and all that was the trend. Now it's thick girls. Yeah. But at that time, if you were, yeah. Now they call it slim thick right now.
Okay.
But those days, skinny girls were the thing. I mean, everyone was trying to get skinny. Everyone was trying to wear low jeans, low waist jeans, trying to look skinny and everything. Now everyone's trying to get thick, doing squats every day, to get thighs and everything.
Yeah.
Back then, people were fat shamed for being curvaceous. Now they're being glorified. You get? So it's all about it. It's around society a lot.
That's a very interesting perspective, actually. I saw Elvis, you had raised your hand. Elvis Girundu.
Yes, mine was just on the example you had given and on a question about what Alice had said. So you had given the example of like gigs. It was a really good example because it shows us that in a world where everybody's trying to look cool and everybody like shuns people who are not in the same wave that they are. If it's let's say people like partying, that's the wave. If people like being loud and vocal, shouting, and people who don't like shouting, they are shunned from that. So in a way, let's say like a photographic memory, or you being really, really smart, like a gig, it is turned from being a gift to an insecurity because you're an odd one out. Do I make sense? So it's pretty ironic that something which is a gift that it should be like bringing people up, it's bringing people down because of people's view of them instead of their views on how they would like to be. Let's say like seeking Billy Gates were gigs. Those guys were just about, let me develop and I want to start this big thing, Microsoft, to help people, what. But now where people, in a time people are flashing a lot and everything, no putting much work on yourself. If you're putting much work on yourself, let's say like working out to get a good shape, of which I've seen with ladies, it is not to make you feel good, but from your perspective, but to make you feel good from posting it on Instagram to get other people to like you. You get. So we find that insecurities nowadays are things that are even not supposed to be insecurities. Like people's opinions are dominating everything, which now in turns makes things insecurities, because everybody is talking about like what Nicole said. My mom was telling me that during her times you couldn't find a news anchor who's, let's say, like Betty Chalo. I'm not saying Betty Chalo has a bad body, but that thick, that thick and like whatever, But nowadays, because we're into thickness, there it is. So you find that opinions change, and by the time they change, people are like confused. Why did you shun this Kitambo and now it's there? You see? So it's just so confusing. People's opinions are dominating everything. So yeah.
That's actually a very interesting. I know you're taking it up with what Nicole said, and that is a very interesting point, which I'll hold on to as well. I don't know, Zavon, your hand is still up. Do you want to mention something?
Oh, not really. I forgot to lower my hand.
Okay, no problem. Nicole, you want to go? Your hand is up.
Oh, I forgot. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. So you guys, you can see the point that is coming out quite clearly is the fact that society has a very strong influence on what opinions you have of yourself, and that's actually the basic problem that births insecurities. that number one, society keeps changing its opinions. And based on what is the current wave, then whoever is not part of that wave is then termed as an outlier or a weirdo, stuff like that. Yeah. And I saw an interesting comment by Natalie in the chat. I'm not sure. I'm not able to tie it to what I'm trying to say. But what I want to bring to the discussion now at this point is, what is your place as part of this society and someone who has their own identity? What is your place in ensuring that whichever way society waves, you don't get lost, or rather your identity doesn't get lost in trying to fit into it? Where do you, I mean, how do we ensure we as people who are growing up in this shifting society are able to hold our stand? What do you guys do to ensure that, I mean, whatever insecurities you've been having, how do you guys normally deal with them? For the benefit of some of us who maybe are struggling with their insecurities, we'd like to know maybe one insecurity you've overcome and how are you able to overcome it, yeah? For the benefit of all of us. I'd be happy to hear. I'll go first. My insecurity about height. Oh yeah, you can raise your hands if you have something to say. My insecurity about height. Honestly, growing up, I wasn't very comfortable about my height. I didn't like the fact that I was growing through classes, but my height wasn't just matching up to the classes. I mean, I was in class 8 looking like a class 1 boy, and going into high school, even my parents were afraid by the fact that I was going to high school, as tiny as I was. But you know, I realized that things you can change and that things you probably can't change. But even what was most striking to me is society is asking the wrong question. You know, society looks at your face and you end up looking at your face as well. Society looks at your height, you end up also looking at your height. But that's the wrong question, or rather the wrong question we should be asking ourselves. The questions we should be asking ourselves are about how do you use whatever you have to actually achieve the optimum, you know, self that you are. Yeah. For example, people were trying to jibe at my height and things like that. But then you actually realize, I mean, it doesn't affect me, the fact that I'm shorter, in any way, because we are still in the same class. If anything, we're performing equally or perhaps, I mean, competitively. So you look at what strengths you have, and if at all your perceived insecurity affects that. If it doesn't affect it, I don't think then there is anything to be worried about. So for me, I learned to flip the question and look at, okay, so is my insecurity affecting any part of my life? Yeah, is my insecurity like drawing happiness away from me? And if it's doing that, then what exactly is the problem? Because it can't be the insecurity, it has to be something else. Yeah. For example, height can't affect your studies. Maybe it can affect how girls look at you, but that's debatable, because again, the girls who actually will fall for you, I'm sure. Vice versa. I mean, for the opposite gender. So you want to look at what society is trying to point out, and then have that question flipped to your favor. That's what I used personally. I can see Nicole and Alice have raised their hands. Nicole.
I'd like to give two ways.
Mm-hmm.
First is I know, you know how grown-ups tell you, don't worry, like you'll pass that stage, yeah. So I think there's a friend I have, she's in psychology, and she was telling me that we are all in a certain age where we all care what people think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm in that age where if I'm even walking in church, I'm thinking, yeah, maybe someone is looking at me walking in church and thinking, why is this guy walking like this? You know, things like that. Just small things that can really bring you down for absolutely no reason. So I started telling myself that, you know what? This is just the age I am in. This is what my brain, all my hormones, this is what they are doing. But that doesn't mean that I let them take control over me. Yeah, I need to have control of the situation. Second, we've been brought up in a society where we always constantly have to prove people that we are worth something or that we are like this. Yeah, like what you are saying. A lot of people, okay, I'm just going to use your example. Maybe for like a lot of short guys, they try and step it up somewhere else in order for people to see anyway, you deserve to work on this or something like that. But that shouldn't be the case. Yeah, why you thinking that I am ugly or that I'm too loud, as long as I'm doing the correct thing on my part and my side, that it won't change anything. I've started looking at my life like that. You thinking that I'm dumb or that I'm saying something like stupid or anything like that. That's your business, fine. But for me, I believe that what I'm saying is true, what I'm saying is correct, and my life will move on. I don't have to constantly keep proving you. If you think being slim thick is the beauty and you disregard me because how my body looks, that's your problem, that's your loss. Like, I'm comfortable with the way it looks, and you thinking like that shouldn't change what I feel about myself. It shouldn't affect me in any way, because you think like that, so what? That still doesn't mean I can't, I won't make it in life. That doesn't mean I won't look good in the clothes that I wear. You get what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. You thinking that it's like you think that, but me personally, it won't affect it. What is it changing? Nothing. And I shouldn't allow what you think to change about me as a human being.
All right, interesting. I can see Alice and then Zavan and then Faith. Alice?
There's just one question before I start talking that I wanted everyone to ask themselves. Who told you society was the standard? Like, who told you that because someone is shorter? I have a friend who actually thinks she's short because the internet says people who are between 5 feet and 5'4" are short. Who told you society is the kind of person that tells you what you should be and you shouldn't be? You're the person who defines who you should be. I was checking, I think this on Instagram. I don't know if you people know, but Adele, people were really bashing her. She was, I don't know, say obese, but she was healthier than people think is the start. She was fat according to very many people. And then all of a sudden, she starts taking photos and she's skinny. And then people started bashing her and telling her, hey, why did you leave us? You was the one who was supporting us. And the whole time that was happening, I was thinking to myself, okay, it's her body, first of all. So why does somebody have to be the one to support you? Why does somebody have to be the person to decide what you do or what you say? Society is not your standard. You're the one who sets the standard for yourself. Yeah.
All right. Thank you for that, Zavan.
Thank you. First thing I would like for us to think of, it is who are we? The first thing is the identity of who we are, not what people think we are. When you set the standards of yourself, I agree with Alice 100%. Let not people give you the standards of what you are going to be. And right now the world we are in is very chaotic. So you have to state to have your standards, and you have to know who you are, where you are, and why you are the way you are. There are many things we have to accept first before people tell us. And I have a friend of mine pale campus. He likes eating, and kila mtu ako zile za kumchekelea like you love eating, blah blah blah. But he's never angry at anybody who says anapenda kukula. Na ukimwambia anapenda kukula anakuambia I know, I love eating. That's my thing. So the thing is, we should accept first what we are before people come attacking us. It will make us feel very confident. Thinking of something during the week about the difference between ignorance and confidence, and that one aside. So when we keep our standards, like, you must recognize we all need help, but not necessarily what people think we need. It is what we need, you know. And the other thing we should accept is, and maybe the weaknesses they see, they don't affect us. Maybe like for you, for Lumumba, your weakness was height, maybe, but it can't affect you because it is somebody's weakness, you know. And you know, the Bible says, I think in Romans, a verse I don't remember, that we don't conform to the world, right?
Yeah,
If
the balance of
someone
this one.
knows the verse, yeah, we don't have to conform to the world, and we don't have to put ourselves in the standards of where people want us to be. Like for us, what is it we are needed to be, like, what image are we supposed to portray? Not caring about our insecurities. And many people are brought down by the insecurities because people think they are not supposed to be that. And probably the insecurities, those other people think they are their strength. And my first time going to campus, I was very insecure coming from a school far away, people don't know, and here I'm meeting people of different national schools, you know, maybe brighter people than I am, and I was very insecure to speak even in front of people. But later I realized we are all learning, and that will help us accept what we are. And in a nutshell, the thing is, let us not go with the standards of the world. Let us not go with the standards of what people think we supposed to be. Those guys with beards, not everyone looks good in beards. Those guys with deep voices, not everyone will like that person with deep voice. Those ladies with cute sijui shiny glass, sijui sura, not
Relax.
everyone will go for it. In fact, some people like zile spotted skins, you know. So ladies mostly just accept what you are and work for it. In fact, the solution is, let us look for what kama uko na sura like your face haikubambi, do a healthy meal. We have LNG White writings about health, you know. We have many stories about how we can care about our skins and how we can look better naturally, other than kujicompare na mtu. And the thing that is killing our young people today, me included, it is comparison. Like, I've seen somebody has a good outfit, I would like to be there, and maybe when I'll be there, I won't look the same way he looks, and it will just bore me, and I will get there, and then I will like, nitataka tena nikwe in another level, you know. Yeah, the thing is, let us accept what we are, and let us look for the solutions of what we have. Kama sura yako iko hivyo, accept it. Mtu akikwambia it is this way and this way, don't care about what they say, care what you are. I think acceptance, like someone has put in our chat, acceptance is the big deal with our people today. Let us accept what we are, work on what we don't think is right for us, and let us, like, do you guys think before resisting ianze, like, black people, we are not like, hatukuanga prouder with our black color, and now you see people are fighting for the black thing, you know. just accept what you are. I think that is the best thing we can do, and that is the best solution for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Zavon. I saw Faith had raised her hand, but it looks like it's been lowered. Faith, do you still want to mention something?
Yeah, sorry. I wanted to say I agree with what the people before me have said. I think the major issue that people in our age bracket, and that is extending its borders to the early teens and maybe little kids of today, is identity crisis. Like people aren't comfortable with who they are. They lack their own identity. They have to define themselves with what society at that time says is the in thing, if I can say that. And I think it all starts with building your inner confidence. Then from there, having a circle of friends that won't like bash you and bash others, because if you have people, if your closest friends are the type of guys who will bash people for either not being this or being that, and it will come to affect you at some point, because in your head you'll be like, wait, if I'm not like this, what will my friends think? If I'm not like this, what will these people say? Such things. So I think it all starts with the inner confidence, the inner you, and then spreads out to your friends and generally people who you interact with. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
Interesting. Elvis, and then Kwame, and then Alan.
Yes, I think I just try to lay the basis of what can help you with everything, including overcoming insecurities.
Nice.
One thing quarantine has taught me is that we really need to work on ourselves, on loving ourselves. Like when people come up and tell you, man, you need to work on loving yourself, we usually take it for granted. Like loving yourself, what does really loving yourself mean? It means flaws that you have, that okay, let's assume that people consider the flaws that you have, which you cannot change, just accept them. Then the ones that you can change and you're really motivated to, you can work on them. Let's say if you are not that of a confident person. I myself, I'll give you a personal testimony. When I was a young kid, I was very socially awkward. Yeah, I think so. Not think so. I know I was socially awkward. And I didn't really have a lot of confidence in myself. I was often bullied. I'll tell you, I have cases of past bullying from high school, primary. But then I realized you just have to work on yourself, accept that if anything has happened, it has happened, and you move forward. One thing also we should also accept is the world is brutal. The moment you accept the world is brutal and it will never be fair, you'll actually be at peace with anything that happens to you, however bad. And the ones that happen that are really bad, when you pray about it, God will help you. Because if you expect the world to always be fair and to always, let's say, to always go smooth, you will have resentment all your life. Like, why isn't A supposed to be followed by what B or 1, 2, 3, 4? So even me, when I sat down in quarantine helped me to work on my aspect of loving myself, because we get so much caught up in dramas of life, routine. Let's say you're going from today to university, you don't have any time for yourself to really sit down and reflect on your life and say like, hey man, there's this I've been doing so wrong. I've been having these kind of flaws. Why don't I work on them? Why don't I really truly focus on myself to grow myself? Because even in relationships, people who have problems with loving themselves, we've had this most often, expect that another person will come to fill that gap, but that's not usually the case, because that will turn out to be a toxic relationship where you want somebody else to come and love you where you've not loved yourself. So if you love yourself, you'll overcome a lot of things that whatever kind of motivation or whatever kind of books you'll read that won't help you. But the books I'm reading have come to show me that loving yourself is really important. It will save you from depression and other kinds of diseases that we find ourselves in terms of mental diseases. Yeah, that's the only thing I can say.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Elvis, for that. It's a resounding case for acceptance and working towards where you want to be. Mr. Kwame. And then
Hey,
after that,
everyone.
we'll have Alan and then Melvin. And then I'd like to twist the discussion kidogo. Kwame, please go.
Okay. Okay. The thing is, the guy who spoke before, what's his name? Please remind me his name. Before
Elvis
me.
Or Zavon.
No, before. Yes, Zavon.
Yeah.
I appreciate the way you really look at life and the way you look at things. It's really nice. I used to look at things like that. But I was watching a video like 2-3 days ago, and there's a pastor who was thinking about this whole racial thing. And then the major highlight of his story was when you realize that the world will never stop looking at you the way it does, you'll be safe. And me, I totally agree with him, because although we want to believe the world is godly, that's a lie. We know that the world, the devil, alali, and when he's doing this, because honestly, do you know, I cried after watching that whole thing, because I was like, oh my goodness, Sasa, what if I went? I know some of my cousins are there. I know some of my friends are there. What if, a lot of what ifs. And I got depressed hadi machozi mbili tatu ilianguka. Point I'm trying to make. Yeah, now I'm fine. And what I concluded with this whole thing is, when you build and you do your best in whatever you have, people don't buy it. People, there's a video in Mora Centers, which was really what it called, it was really eye-opening. People normally do not buy what you're selling, they buy what you're doing. And that applies in life. If you have your thing together, if you have everything set out, if you basically are in control of your circle around you, those people who we call, out when you decide a society that decides who's popular or not, they'll come to you and you'll be in a position to influence people, and you have a chance to make things right. I think that cuts across to everyone. So that's what I have to say.
All right. Thank you so much. I understand that. Okay. Then we have Melvin, or Alan and then Melvin, or vice versa.
Just wanted to add on what someone had said. I saw Blessing this week had posted something, and it was going, don't work out because
I saw that.
Yeah, don't work out because you hate your body. Do it because you love it.
That was powerful.
Oh,
Amen.
that hit home.
Please repeat. Please repeat.
Yeah, I'm
Type it in
preaching
the chat, my friend.
I'm preaching.
Blessing, please type it.
Please repeat.
Yeah, don't work out because you hate your body, but because you love it. And that, I think, it's just an addition to what Zavon had said. And for what also Moiwayo had said, I just wanted to add a quote. Whoever, how did it go? That quote that goes, do it anyway, because those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind.
Mm-hmm. There's an issue with your mic, but we hear you.
Have you heard everything?
The last part wasn't very clear.
It's not very clear.
You can type the last quote in the chat, tafadhali. Sasa, Melvin.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
So I think
100%.
I think I really love the conversation about insecurities, and I think about society's like standards and everything. I read somewhere that the internet, because the internet is like one of the things that we look at, and we're looking at stars and people there. I read somewhere that
people are not posting their flaws and their mistakes and what they go through. So sometimes you're looking at people's standards, but most times people are not posting the problems they're going through and everything. And I think that beauty comes in, or perfection comes in, just loving who you are, because it brings inner peace and you're just okay with, for inner peace and just being fine with who you are. And maybe we can also ask God to just help us to accept ourselves for who we are and what He's created us to be. Yeah.
Thank you. Actually, you've just flipped the conversation to where I was headed. But before that, I saw Trevor had highlighted to my private chat. He said, so where does the temperance come in that case? Should we accept ourselves and our habits even though they aren't the right habits? From what I got from this question, probably he was asking, maybe what if the insecurities you have are actually bad habits? Should we really accept them? And I think the response to that would be no. We're not saying you should accept the wrong habits, but what you're saying is whatever the world thinks is queer about you shouldn't make you feel as though you are less of a human. Yeah, because and of course we're saying if you have bad habits, please, you guys, deal with your bad habits and correct yourself. But we're talking about now things that are not necessarily bad, but whether or not by choice you have them. So then those are things then you can only accept and optimize on them, right? So I think that would be the answer to Trevor's question. Now I'd like us to pivot for the next around 30 minutes to find lasting solutions to this, because I've been listening to you guys and yeah, we all have experiences, but I'm sure there's someone on this call who's still probably not very sure how they should go about their insecurities and things like that. Probably they're still lost because yes, you will say society shouldn't define our standards, but still I'll go back to my computer, I'll log in to Instagram and I'll see all these clear glass skin girls. I'll see all these guys. There's some guy on my feed on IG who normally does some crazy workouts, and you feel as though you're less of a human, you know. So there's still some anyway, I'll work out because I love my body, not about anything else. So yeah. But the point is, whether or not we want to deny it, society still defines standards. So the question we should be asking ourselves is, in your private space, how do you stay steadfast from the waves of society? Yeah. How do you stay yourself in a world that is constantly changing? And one of the things that was mentioned on this call that I totally accept is, guys, accept yourself. There's a poem I live by. It's called Desiderata. And one of the famous lines of the Desiderata is, wherever you find yourself, just give me a second, wherever you find yourself, just be sure that there are always going to be lesser or greater persons than yourself. But that is not in any way supposed to define who you are. It just means in every way, there is space for everyone on this rock that we're living on. And another thing I needed to mention is, insecurities are heavily dependent on what your identity is. And the question then you should be asking yourself, so we talked about acceptance, but now what are you accepting? You should be accepting your identity. But now what defines your identity? We've said society has a role. But then again, the other thing is, whatever defines your identity, in this case could be society, is actually which could help, whatever the thing that could help you break out of that identity. You get? So in this case, we'll take whatever defines your identity to be that to be your God with a small g. Okay. So now, then that means whenever you're feeling as though you're not doing the correct thing, then or you're not sufficient, then that means that God with a small g is saying something that you should be doing that you don't feel adequate to be doing it. Now, this is where the paradigm shift comes in. So which or who will be your God? Is it going to be the Lord God, or is it going to be the societal God? Because God has very clear perspectives on who he thinks we are. He says we are beautifully and wonderfully made. But society has a different opinion. It says, bro, no, you're not beautiful and wonderfully made. If anything, yes,
Far from
maybe
that.
scarily made or weirdly made. Yeah. So the thing is, and this bases heavily on your Christian perspective. As a Christian, then, do you think God would be lying to tell you specifically that you are beautifully and wonderfully made? Yeah. Now, if you think that's a lie, then that means probably you're believing in another God, which is now society, because society has its own definition of who is beautifully and wonderfully made. Yeah. Society in that case would maybe say you're beautiful but fearfully made. Anyway, that's besides the point. Now, thing is, when you're talking about God, you know, there's the aspect of us proclaiming the power of God, but denying the power of it. You know what Timothy says, that we are getting into a society where people can proclaim God but deny the essence and the power of God. And even in Luke, the doctor writes and says, not everyone who mentions my name, Lord, Lord, actually believes in me or will go to heaven. So again, that draws back to what exactly is your spiritual connection to God. And we had an interesting discussion this morning in the lesson discussion, that your identity also heavily depends on what your relationship with God is. It's very difficult to find someone who is content with the relationship with God having these insecurity problems that we normally have. And I know all of us are in different journeys. But then again, what I'm just trying to say is this journey is what defines, or where you are at that journey is what will define the kind of insecurities you're having. Yeah. So let's think about where the problem is and how we can approach it. Now I'll just give you some 6 steps as I was doing my random research around on how to deal with insecurities. As I find my steps, I can see Elvis and Nicole have raised their hands. Maybe you can just speak as I get that pulling up. Elvis, you can start, and then Nicole.
Oh, sorry, man. I had forgot to.
Oh, okay.
But I can
Nicole,
say something about what you said. Of course, I never miss anything to say about building the identity. You know, guys called narcissists.
Yeah. We know them too well.
Yeah. The people who they don't have an identity built in themselves. Basically, that's why they reach outward to, what is it called, to fill their empty that is inside. So studies have shown that from your years from 0 to 5, what basically happens to you is you are focused on building your own identity, though you don't know it. But then let's, for example, look at a narcissist's life. A narcissist is a narcissist because in their child life, they didn't build a sustaining identity. So what happens is when they were kids, they maybe had an abusing father or mother, or they had a distant parent, or they had one that was showing too much love to them. You see, that one for too much love is not left alone to like build an identity for themselves. So they always are showered with a lot of attention and love. That's why when they come to be big, because they're so used to attention, they do even crazy and dramatic things to get their attention. So for a healthy child who has built their identity, they also build a strong self-esteem of themselves. So because when something bad happens to us when we are big, let's say we are threatened to get depressed, we withdraw to ourselves. And in that withdrawing, if we have a strong sense of identity, we recover. We keep telling ourselves we're strong, you're great. Like the words of assurance are usually told to tell yourself, because you can speak ill of yourself. So if you have a strong identity, when you're withdrawing towards yourself, you'll always find a reason now to go back to the world. because of that strong person inside that is holding you. So if you have a weak identity, you will always fall. You will always crumble. That's why like people who have always had long-lasting depression, people who don't know who they are. Okay, that's another totally different subject about knowing who you are. But everything comes from the identity that you've built inside yourself. Yes.
Yep, true. Nicole, do you want to say something now or should I go on?
Yeah, I want to say something.
Okay.
It won't be long. I just wanted to put across, because we're talking about identity. I've been seeing a lot. You guys know who sanguines are?
Yes,
You've heard of
yes, I think we
sanguines?
know them. Yeah, we
That's
know
a
them.
song. Or
No,
sanguines.
it's a character.
Manze, pole. I had something like a song. I'm so sorry.
It's cool.
Songs then.
So sanguines are basically quote unquote extroverts.
Noisy.
No.
Oh, okay,
You
what
see,
do I say noisy then?
people view them as noisy. I view them as joyful. Yeah? I view them as full of life, full of energy. But I'm not sure if this is all over the world, but in our country, Kenya, now specific Nairobi, I've seen so many people who are outgoing, who are trying to what's the word? To step back because they want to be seen as the cool guy, the one who doesn't talk a lot, the one
Introverted.
who's reserved. Yeah. So I'm seeing that shift a lot, and I'm wondering, Haya, why? You're so full of life, you're so full of energy, people love being around you. Why would you want to change yourself in order to be seen as... There's a misinterpretation, I think, that's been going around. The more silent and more reserved you seem, the more intelligent you look. Yeah? Which is not true. I mean, quote, let me, because doctors are perceived to be one of the most intelligent people, I know so many doctors who are so joyful, who are so outgoing, who are full of energy, yet they are, quote unquote, your typical intelligent. You get what I mean? So, yeah, I just wanted to bring that across. Please be proud of who God has made you to be. If you're outgoing, don't try and suppress it so that society can see that, you are a certain way. No.
You're
Do
a
your
humble
thing.
Christian.
Yeah, we love that kind of energy. We love that kind of... Yeah, I'm seeing it a lot affecting young people. I just wanted to bring that out. Yeah.
Great. Perfect. Thank you so much. So I was trying to build a case. So we've said know where you're defining your identity from, whether it's from society or from God. And we've also built a case here that God has a specific opinion about who we are, that he built us, he made us beautifully and wonderfully. But then again, also God understands that we are fallen beings. So someone could just pull up to Romans 7:18, Romans chapter 7 verse 18, and then someone else could also check out Hebrews chapter 4 verse 13. If you're there, please say amen, and then you can read it out to us. So we have Romans 7:18. Who that?
Zavon,
please go.
Romans 7:18, it says, "For I know that in me," into quotes, "that is in my flesh, nothing good dwells, for the will is present with me, but how to perform what is good I do not find."
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, of course, there is not, to just paraphrase it, Paul in this case was writing to the Romans and giving them his case. He was trying to, be a humble Christian in this case. and Paul says, I know very well that nothing good dwells in me of my own doing. That is in my flesh. And when you think about it, actually, insecurities scream you trying to have confidence in your flesh or in your abilities to do something about your situation, which is fine. But then we miss the point of where this is coming from. Is it coming from a force of society, or is it coming from a force of, Christ? That's the major. I don't know how to emphasize this, but I hope we are flowing together. That there could be two forces, or whichever forces, you should just know which force is pushing you to feel that insecurity. Is it a Christian force? Is it a godly force? Because even Christians have their own flaws. Is it a godly force, or is it a societal contemporary force? Once you know which force this is, then you can begin working on that. I mean, if it's a societal force, then as your guess is as good as mine. That is probably just, again, peer pressure or society trying to bog you down. But if God actually wants something to do with you correcting where you are or something, that's serious. Because God essentially knows who we are, and he knows nothing good dwells in us. But someone is at Hebrews 4:13? Anyone? Okay, I can just read it. It says, and no creature is hidden from his sight, but all are naked and exposed to the eyes of him to whom we must give account. Now, I'm actually assuming and believing that I'm speaking to Christians here, at least basically, fundamentally. Though I had a friend of mine who is Indian and wanted to join the call. I don't know if he's joined. So anyway, I'm to make things straight, I'm assuming I'm speaking to God believing. So whoever your God is, God believing people. So in that case, if your God is all powerful, all seeing, all knowing, then definitely this verse resounds very loudly to you, that that no creature is hidden from his sight, but all are naked and exposed to the eyes of him to whom we must give account. That means then, whatever society thinks about you, there is a specific thing that probably they're not able to see, but God is able to see all that. Again, whoever God is to you. Yeah. So knowing these two things, that nothing dwells in us, as well as we are naked and exposed towards God, then how do we deal with these insecurities? So for me, how I thought about this is actually, then insecurity is actually an invitation to expose ourselves rather than to hide ourselves. I don't know if you're getting me, but what I'm saying is, depending on where the force of the insecurity is coming from, I hope we are together with someone. Depending on where, it sounds like a physics equation, but hang on, I'm sorry, it's gonna work out at some point. I'll even draw something on the screen if it needs to. But depending on the force behind your insecurity, then it should push you to expose yourself. And this is actually, if you think about it, this is actually what we've been saying all along. Accept yourself and come out as who you are. But now, if in the Christian sense, this is asking you to expose yourself to who is driving that identity. Expose yourself to God, who is driving your identity. Tell him, yeah, this is not working for me. I'm actually feeling very insecure about it in this sense. And you know what I'm going through, and I know you can actually do something about it. And that's actually what Christ went to the cross for, because he knew we were burdened by sin. He knew we were not able to do this. So he's inviting us to trust in him one more time in whatever insecurities you're facing. Now, in societal insecurities, that is just as good as accepting what those insecurities are. I mean, yes, you're short. Maybe you think you, I had some tall people also have insecurities, so maybe you're tall. Maybe you are, maybe the clear skin, a phrase I've learned today, but the glass clear skin and all those things. So yeah, accept that. So how does that affect you? I mean, are you able to do anything about it? As someone mentioned in the group, if you're not able to do anything about it, you better accept it. The sooner you accept it, the easier it becomes for you. And also just know that this is coming from society. Society doesn't have anything to do with you. They're just trying to define their standards. If you know your identity, if you know this is coming from society or this is coming from God, then you have a clear idea of how to deal with it. Things that are coming from society are basically, let me say, news headlines, what fashion should be and things like that. Treat them as news headlines, and that's perfect. Treat it as an Instagram hashtag, that's okay. Treat it as a Twitter hashtag, that's fine. Leave it on the platform you're seeing it. I'll give you just to bring the point home. I'll give you how Instagram came to be. Brand, there's some
Sorry.
noise. I'll give you a background on how Instagram came to be, just to build this case. So Instagram, of course, was founded by Kevin Systrom and Brian Chesky. Now, earlier, actually, Instagram wasn't meant to be. What was being built was an application called Bourbon. Now, Bourbon was supposed to just be an application like when you go into a cool place, you can check into that place and broadcast to your friends. I was at this place, it's really cool and things like that. Now, over time, these guys realized, around like 6 months, they realized it wasn't working out. Their uptake had peaked and nothing was, no more people were joining the app. So they went to their loyal customers and asked them, why do you guys keep using our app? And there they found the answer. We like it because of the photos. We can take photos and broadcast to our friends. So initially it wasn't really about photos, but it was just about checking in. But now they realize, oh, the photos actually what sells. So these guys decided, okay, we should think about this a bit deeper. So Kevin Systrom goes on a vacay with the wife. I don't know where they went, but they went on a vacation. So Kevin asks his wife if she could use Bourbon. And so at this point, that they already began to build their photo taking apps exclusively for photo taking. He asks the wife if she can take photos with the new app he's built, and the wife is like, well, I can. Well, like, I don't mind, but I don't like the photos because they're not as cool as professional camera photos and things like that. I mean, I'm not able to. I don't look like my best self. The way ladies say, this is not my best side, those things, yeah. So I think she was saying the same thing. So Kevin asks the wife, so then what would we do to ensure that your photo comes out clearly? And so she says, maybe add a filter, to portray a good image of where I am and what I'm doing. Bazinga. So he realizes, actually, if we add filters, every photo will turn out as perfect. And from the story of Instagram and from what the wife gave Kevin as the idea, which is now $1 billion idea anyway, was the fact that humans in our natural sense are unsatisfied with our circumstances. And that is okay. I'm not saying it's not okay to be unsatisfied. It's okay to push harder. It's okay to want to be better. That's perfect. But this is where now I was trying to draw the connection with what is causing you unsatisfaction. Is it something that is just for lack of a better word, just contemporary, just secular? Or is it something that is actually seeking to make you a better person? And from this, then you're able to perceive which direction you want to go. And that's why today, all photos are picture perfect. As Melvin said, there is no one who's living a failed life in that sense on social media. Everyone is having the best of days. I woke up like this. Oh, golden hour. Oh, glass clear skin. Sun-kissed. Everyone is having the best weather at the best times in the best of their lives. Yeah. But that shouldn't take you. So every time you see these picture perfect photos, remember Instagram's story. It was built out of someone wanting to actually look perfect. Now, is that what you also want? Do you also want to portray a false sense of your life? I'm not saying maybe they were having a bad time. No. I'm just saying that's the inherent nature of man, wanting to be portrayed in a glorious sense. So remember Instagram story whenever you're scrolling through these pics and you're seeing someone having a life that is larger than life, and know where it's coming from. Now I'll give you some 6 contemporary. These are not necessarily Christian, but they're, I could say, practical ways to deal with insecurities. And then I'll invite anyone who has something to say it. So give me a second. Just pulling this up. Great. So number 1, identify your insecurities. What exactly are your insecurities? And you can ask yourself these questions. So what exactly do I tend to feel insecure about? And that's also partly why I was asking those questions earlier. So you can have an idea and think about it. What are these things that, you know, prick me the wrong way? Then number 2, okay, part of still identifying your insecurities, what uncertainty exists that is making me feel insecure? What do you feel as though you're lacking? What is it that you're not understanding that's making you feel insecure? For example, in Alice's case, the fact that she had a photographic memory, she didn't know how to put it out there, and she didn't understand why the other people were bashing her. So what is this uncertainty? Why are people making me feel this way? You know? And then what worries or fears are making you feel insecure? Yeah. And why are you insecure about these things? Find out the reason. Again, find out the force behind the force behind you, the force behind that insecurity. And then this is a brilliant way to also think about it. What underlying irrational beliefs are at the core of these insecurities? More often than not, you'll realize it's just society trying to portray its standards, as we've mentioned earlier. And then what unhelpful thinking styles are at the heart of these beliefs, and what is the root cause of all these insecurities? So that is just part of finding out, you know, your identity and where these things are creeping into. Now, number 2, after you've done that, then you need to challenge your insecurities. And these are the questions you can ask yourself. Is this really how things are, or just how you imagine them to be? At least now you know the story of Instagram. So you know how these things actually are. When you see a picture perfect photo, you know it's not exactly how that person is. It's a bit of filters here, a bit of glamour and makeup there, makes that picture perfect photo. How could things be different to the way that you are seeing them and interpreting them? So perhaps, again, I'll just go back to Instagram, because I believe we are visual people. So look at things and try to realize what you're seeing and how differently they could be in real life. I mean, is it true that every singer has a glamorous life? Is it true that every comedian has a happy life or joyful or whatever? It's not true. Realities hit hard when you think about them. Yeah, that's why you can see actually I'm not saying, you know, all comedians die of depression, but there's actually that high risk of comedians dying out of depression. Why? Because society has pushed you to be a specific image, but internally things are different. Now, thing is, you don't want society to touch your internal state of being. You want to have as much as possible your internal state of being perfect, and then whatever society decides to look at you like, that's their problem. So majorly look at how things could be different from the way you're seeing, and also, is that really how things are? Okay, and then how else could you view that situation? So that's number 2 about challenging your insecurities and being objective. Step 3, reflect on your wins or your successes. So you have this insecurity. Of course, it's not like something you picked up jana, probably something you grew up with and stuff like that. Has it affected your life? Probably yes, it has, because now there's peer pressure and all those kind of things. Yeah, and that's part of step 2, where you're trying to challenge it. And then, have you excelled in the past, you know, in different fields? Why did you excel? What strengths do you have? What personal attributes? I know this sounds like some psychological class, but when you actually think about these things, you start realizing that actually what I had was insecurity. It was more of an asset when you think about it, in the different ways you actually decide to pick this out. All right, and then assess your circumstances. In this case, just look at, so there's this whole gram that has glowing images here and there. So who cares? So what? You know, are things as bad as you're making them seem? Yeah, and think about a worst case scenario. I mean, for example, this is very awkward, but for example, if I was supposed to be recruited into a basketball team, that would be a worst case scenario about my height. So how would I potentially handle myself during this case? I think for me, I'd decide to just be the coach of the team or whatever, find where your strengths would lie and capitalize on that, depending on whatever you think is your insecurity. And then these are the cliche, step 5 and 6, engage in positive talk. At least, from the Bible, there's a lot of an affirmation. I don't know why humans want to go everywhere else, but there's a lot of self-affirmation that you can get in the Bible, as well as make full commitment to overcome that insecurity. There is no reason whatsoever to lay low because of what you are, what you think society wants you to be. There is no reason whatsoever to stay down there because you've been called names, or you feel a particular way about who you are. There is no reason whatsoever to stay down there. At every chance and opportunity you get, you want to be the best you can be. And the insecurities you have are an asset. Again, if you go through whatever, I think I'll probably just make notes and share of that procedure. And then you can become the best self that you ever wanted to be. So yeah, those were my 6 tips of how to overcome insecurities. I don't know if you have questions, but at this point I can hang my boots or comments. I can see Chunchu is up. Chunchu, please go.
Thank you so much. Well, this discussion is yum. We love it. We love to hear it. We love to see it. Thank you all for contributing and stuff. I think I'm also, I don't know, from a biblical-ish standpoint, that I'll be commenting on how to deal with insecurities. And I'm a big believer on the idea of, your identity, where you place your identity really helps determine so much. It's like, I should probably draw my hand first. It's distracting me. Sorry, just a minute. Yeah. So yeah, like where you have your identity means so much, and it helps to define many other avenues of your life. Because if you have your identity on for example, fixed on God, there is no human that can tell you anything, nothing. So I think that's something that we should all yearn to have. And then also one thing that I know many, I think clearly actually apparently even men included, have physical related insecurities. And this the society, as we have seen so far, has it highly exalts outer beauty, because really that's where the human eyes at first glance lands. It's like, okay, when the outside is pretty, then we're good, like man's is pretty, yeah. But when we look, for example, I was just reading in Ezekiel 28 verse 17, it talks about how the devil, quote unquote, got a big head out of his outward beauty, in the sense that, okay, let me just read it. It says, your heart became proud on account of your beauty, and you corrupted your wisdom, so I threw you to earth. I made you a spectacle before kings. So, first of all, we have to focus on the right things. When we are so concerned on how we look on the outward, we miss more important things, just like the way God says in, what was that? In the story of when he was anointing a king, using Prophet Samuel, and he told him how, humans look on the outward appearance, but I, God, look at the inner whatever in your heart. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, and time and again in the Bible, it points out that, the beauty is from the inside out. Which verse is that? Sorry. In First Peter chapter 3, verse 3 to 4, which one I would just also paraphrase, says how that our beauty should not be coming out of outward adornment and about what we wear and the hairstyles and the clothes, but it's all about our inner self, and that's where the true beauty comes. And again in Proverbs chapter 31 verse 30, it says that charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting. Although this context is in Proverbs 31 about the woman being the woman, whatever, ideal woman, what. So it says, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. But then the key part is that charm is deceptive and what? Beauty is fleeting. So when we have focus on the right things, it's like when our identity is right and we have a right focus, and do not focus solely on like what other people see me like. It's like, as long as you're grounded in God and have a, again, relationship with God, just like the way, again, in the situation where what's his name, Moses, when he went to Mount Sinai at that time, and then he comes down and his face is radiant because he had communion with God at that time. So I think that is, or that should be, from a Christian perspective, where we find our true beauty coming from. It's like, once you have your identity secured in God and you genuinely, like when his character transforms you from the inside out, if somebody can't see, that's beautiful, by the way, they're the ones who are missing it. And like, that's good for you. So hata usitense watakwambia whatever they're gonna say, but as long as you know you're in the right books with God, that your mind is in the right place, I don't think anything else should matter. And yeah, and also on a practical base, those people you're following on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, and all these many things that feed our identity, well, contribute to how we perceive the idea of beauty. I think we need to be more intentional again about the things that we consume. It's like, you can't be out here posting, like every time you go on your feed, you see all these perfect, in quotes, women or men doing X and Y and Z, or putting up X and Y and Z. And if you do not have a proper fixing in God, these things are really going to shatter you, and they're going to really contribute to how you see yourself, and even contribute to your insecurity. So it's unnecessary. Cut them out. Unfollow. For why? Remove them. So yeah, that's about it. Thanks.
Thank you. Alice had something to say before I invite Zavon and Nicole. Alice?
So I really agree with what Sarah has said. I also wanted to bring something up about something called self-fulfilling prophecy. So I've been having a problem with this song that Saudi Soldiers put out called Insecure. And it really heartens me. It really makes me feel so bad that people keep singing that they're insecure. I think that we should try to understand that we have insecurities, but we are not insecure, because being insecure is not something that God or us ourselves want to be. We want to move forward beyond that insecurity. Now, about self-fulfilling prophecies, if you keep telling yourself a certain thing, it will come to life. I think there's a song that someone, I'm not sure if it's Toby Mark, I've forgotten his name, but it's called Speak Life. Whatever you say, whatever you tell yourself, whatever you say to others actually comes to life. Like, if you think about it, I know this may be a bad example, but when a teacher used to tell someone in class, okay, for me, when someone was told in class that, you're not bright, people, that's something that they tended to make somebody feel, and that person actually becomes that thing. It's a fulfilling prophecy, something that someone has brought on themselves. So I don't want people to keep singing this song, and also try your best not to say certain things that you do not want to become. Be aware of the power of your tongue. Yeah.
Thank you, Alice. I can see Zavon.
Yeah, thank you. I would like to start where from where Sarah stated, like, let us take care of what we take in, what we feed ourselves, like Insta stories and all those things will end up distracting ourselves. And let me turn ourselves into what the Bible teaches about Christian standards. We are in a Christian perspective now. I would like to read several verses. That is first from Philippians. From Philippians 2:12 to 15. I will be quick. Therefore, my beloved, as you have always believed, not as in my presence only, but now much more in my absence. Work out your own salvation with fear and trembling, for it is God who works in you both to will and to do for his good pleasure. Do all things without complaining and disputing, that you may become blameless and harmless, children of God without fault in their midst and of a crooked and perverse generation, among whom you shine as lights in the world. Now, God has already given us our identity, who we are, and he has already set the standards, and he has encouraged. When Paul was writing to the Philippians, now he was very sure these people have light, and they have that identity. Let us identify ourselves with what God really wants us to be. And maybe to take you back, when Christ asked the disciples, who do people think I am? And at some point, I really like asking most of my friends what they think I am. And amazingly, I get most of the positive answers, like mara unaambiwa we ni church boy, blah blah blah. But I think we should gather what other people see as what we are, and what we think is not right for us to be, then we should change it. And I will change to another Bible verse, and that is all about our character. Or like, what example should we really follow in our Christian life, like in our daily society, which we have understood earlier, it is a crooked and perverse generation. And I would like to turn ourselves in Colossians 3 verse 2. Colossians 3 verse 2. Anyone who is there, or let me look for it and then I'll read.
Colossians
3 verse 2.
3 verse 2.
Set your minds on things that are above, not on things that are on the earth.
Sure. Now we see Timothy, when he was advising the people of the Colossians, he was now giving them a different hope from the society they were living in. Like, if they were setting their minds on the society they were in, they wouldn't do exactly what God really wanted them to do. Now he's telling them, set your eyes not on the things which are on earth, but rather set your eyes on the things which are above. And that is one thing that is it is a distraction to most of the youth. They don't want to focus on what is really the desire of God to us. Anataka tukue aje, like what kind of persons and people would really God want us to be. And I will slightly take you to the life of Christ, and that what should we do, that is, if we were to be asked a question. And the thing I think we should do, we should follow the example of Christ in everything. He was human, he was in human form, but he was God. So what we are going through, I think Christ did go all through what we are going through now. And surprisingly, he came out victorious. He was really good in everything he did, because he just knew who he was, because he didn't set the standard, he didn't set himself to the standards of the world, but he set his standards to who sent him. And that's why I will take you to 1 John 3 2 to 3, and I think, let me read. Beloved, now we are children of God, and it has not yet been revealed what we shall be. But we know that when he is revealed, we shall be like him, for we shall see him and he as he is. And everyone who has this hope in him he purifies himself just as he is pure. The he here is referred to God and to Christ at large, the Trinity. And when we set ourselves, because we have that identity of what God has for us, trust me, everybody will just look us in that perspective. For our insecurities, let's do what is right in the sight of the Lord. Like, for instance, let me just give you a quick story of maybe someone, a scenario. Like now, there's this person is on Sabbath, he's going to church, and there are two people. There's this one who doesn't carry the Bible, and there's this one who carries a Bible. I don't say that we don't. Okay, I'm not singling him too. And the thing is, when somebody is carrying the Bible, it gives him or her the identity before even he speaks. It gives him or her the identity, that different identity from the rest. It picks him or her out of the crowd and sets them in a different position from the others. Now, coming to this other person, he might be neatly dressed or all stuff, but you can't identify him with what he is. Yeah, so I think the major problem is, what is our identity? And let us focus on what the examples Christ set on us. Let us set on those examples, and let us work out let us work on what we think it is not good for us. And above all, let us consult God. They say, let's fight all our battles in prayers, by kneeling and praying. We are in a crooked world where we tend to be swayed away, but let us focus on the cross. Let us focus on Christ. I think that's all.
Thank you, Zavon. Thank you, Nicole. As we wrap it up.
Just to point on what Sarah said, yeah? But now I want to shift it a bit, because Sarah was talking about, if there are people, true, for sure, if there are people posting things, let's say on social media, and they're making you feel insecure, unfollow, yeah? But us as Christians, have we worshipped the standards of society so much that we ourselves are the contributors? Does that make sense? We are contributing.
Like it's Christians who are the ones who are causing all these insecurities.
No. Listen. Let me use me as an example. I'm a Christian, yeah. I'm saying, you know what? All these things, social media, blah, 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 yeah, I won't let them lead my life. But speaking as of now, currently, have I also been a contributor to that? You get what I mean?
Okay, well, personally, I'm not sure.
Yes.
But yeah.
Like, I have worshipped these standards of society that I have become like them.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever crosses my page ends up feeling like the way I was.
Insecure, okay.
Insecure.
Oh, yeah.
Because I've adapted this thing, yet as a Christian, I'm supposed to ensure that people take care of themselves and love themselves and all that, yeah? So this comes to intentions, because we fight not against flesh and blood, but principalities and authorities, yeah? So when I'm posting that Instagram picture, Am I posting so that people can see that I have many friends, that my life is perfect? Because to be honest, if I post something that is good, I don't think God will necessarily put that blame on me, saying, look, you have made this person feel, but like, okay, let me put it practically, like singing. Yeah? Let me say I go and sing in church, and people are like, oh, you have a nice voice. Maybe someone gets jealous because of my voice, right? I can't be blamed because I have a good voice and I'm using it for God's work. But if I went on that pulpit with the intention that I will come out of this pulpit after I've sung, when people are telling me I have a good voice, I can sing properly, I can all that, I will also be in blame, because intention, God sees the heart. God sees your heart. Are you getting what I'm saying?
Yes.
God is seeing your heart. So to be honest, if I go and sing on that pulpit and I'm doing it for God, and maybe God forbid someone in that congregation gets jealous, that is not my problem. But if I went up there to sing so that I can get praise for myself, for how good my voice sounds, then I too, I am in judgment. Then I too, I'm responsible for how that person is feeling, because my intentions were exactly that.
Yeah, that's agreed.
Yeah, so even as we post on social media, what are your intentions? Am I posting so that someone can cross by and be like, hey, this mommy has a good life. Wow, look at her pictures. Or am I just posting because I want to showcase, because I love photography, because I want to showcase my work? There's a big difference, and I think as much as we are on the receiving end, we also too could be contributing to people feeling like that. And I don't think, I think we should get that clear in our minds. Yes.
Agreed. That I totally agree with. Yeah, I don't know. The floor is open, guys. I just want to wrap this up, and it's quite late. Sorry. We were supposed to end by 5 on the dot. It's 19 past the hour. I can see Chunchu, your hand is up.
Yeah, mine is just short now. I just wanted to, I saw a few faces, well, more like a few familiar names, new lifers.
Nice.
Yeah, so shout out to new lifers. I can only
You want?
recognize.
I actually, what we could do is, if there are no more contributions towards this session for now, I could invite, because there's some people who are not introduced nor spoke, so we can have those introduced warmly. And I think I'll allow you to go first. But do you want to pray first to close this session?
Yeah, sure. Okay. We can pray.
Mm-hmm.
Our kind and Heavenly Father, we thank you once again for this beautiful day. We thank you, Lord, for the spirit that you have let abide with us this afternoon and had this discussion, Lord. It is our prayer, each one of us, that although we may have any embedded insecurities, may we find and root our identity in you, and that, Lord, we may set our minds on things that are above, things of substance, and yearn to, most importantly, have a perfection of character by relying on your word and looking up to you, Lord, because you are the perfecter of characters, Lord. And by touching our hearts, Lord, you will transform us into your likeness, and there's nothing more beautiful than that, oh God. Thank you so much for the contributions. Thank you for all those that have been able to make it to this meeting. And I pray that as we continue with other proceedings from this point on, may you still abide with us. And we ask that each one of us in our respective homes and places that we are, you may see us through whatever challenges we're going through, whatever concerns we may have. If we have people we know that are unwell or struggling in one way or another, we ask that you may come through for us and that your Sabbath blessings will not pass us by. Thank you, Jesus, for being so faithful and for answering our prayer, because we believe and trust in Jesus' mighty name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. Yeah, now you can take the floor.
Okay, so I can only see a Moko that I know. Sister. I don't know the other names, sorry. But New Lifers, shout out.
Oh wait, yeah. We had. I think Nicole had sent out an invite to New Lifers. If they're here, maybe you can just give a big shout out to all of them. Maybe they can actually also just unmute and make themselves known.